Welcome back, it's Melanie, your She Shed Scrapper. So today I am back with a one-page layout using the Where To Next collection from Vicki Boutin. I have a couple of layouts planned using this collection. When I moved inside from the She Shed, I made sure I kind of brought in collections where I could do multiple layouts with them, so I wasn't bringing in so many collections. So you will be seeing a lot of repeats, but I did bring in quite a few different collections, and I feel like with Vicki's collections, you can get so many different looking layouts from the same collection, so it shouldn't deter you from watching by any means, but I just want to give you a heads up that there will be a lot of similar collections in the coming months. So I decided I was going to use the specialty paper from the collection, and I cut that down. It is a piece of vellum with some gold foiling on it. That is those palm fronds there. And I wanted that to kind of be my base. I never really know how to use the specialty papers. I don't always buy them either, but I really did like the palm fronds on that one and thought it would be a good one to fussy cut as well. So with what I have left over, that might be something I do for another layout, but I really did like the way that this specialty paper looked. I decided to kind of go with a green theme, but also bring in a couple of other colors. This striped paper, I keep using it on layouts because it has so many different colors in it. I feel like it is a great paper to kind of bring the layout all together. So you will see it right here. It has that green, it's got the pinks, it's got the blues. The section I cut actually doesn't have too much of that green, but I still feel like it brings it all together. I am kind of dovetailing both ends. The green paper, I did do one long section because I wanted to bring that over into the white space a little bit more. But with that striped paper, it was all going to be behind the photo. And so I was able to just cut off, I think it was like 2-inch sections. I cut off that one in. And then I'm just going to line it up together. So with this vellum, what I did to start with is taped it down based on where I knew was going to be covered, if that makes sense. So I kind of knew that right-hand side of the page or of that vellum and the middle was going to be covered up by the paper and the picture. And so I added my tape to that side. You can kind of see, I think, a little bit where the left-hand side of that vellum is kind of curled up a little bit. That's not really taped down at all, but I did add enough tape for it so it didn't move at all, if that makes sense. So once I lined up the striped paper and the green paper, I ended up adding the darker green paper. That is the border for my layout as well, and I wanted to incorporate that darker green inside the layout, I guess, as well. So that, I believe, are just 1-inch sections there. And again, just cut it down because it was going to be covered up by the photo. So I am going to pop the photo up on some foam tape and then kind of get to embellishing. So you can see I'm now adding extra tape based on where the vellum's covered up. So the left-hand side is still pretty open, but I will add tape to it later on. Not a big deal because it's not going anywhere. There's enough tape on it that, you know, it'll be covered up. And once a page protector's in it, it's going to lay flat anyways. So I had gone ahead before I started the layout and went through the paper repack and the washi stickers to find embellishments that I think I would want to use for this layout. And there's just so many, and you get duplicates. So it just takes me a while to kind of look through all of them. So I did find that circular washi sticker there that I thought would be a great addition underneath. There is that tag. So I wanted something to fill in that right-hand side at the top. And so I did find that tag, which was the green and a larger piece to help kind of be a base for a cluster there. I thought about that toucan, but decided against it. Instead, decided to keep with the kind of palm fronds theme and add that sticker to the tag there. You can see I still have not taped it down to the border yet. No really rhyme or reason, except that sometimes when I know things are going to hang over the edge, it's easier for me to trim them while they are taped down than to cut them and put them on, if that makes sense. Sometimes I cut them shorter than they need to be, and I found that I make less mistakes if I trim them while they're taped on the page, if that makes sense too. So I decided to use 2 large flowers, and those are both from the Papery collection, the ephemera pack. And I wanted to kind of round out the photos. Initially, I thought I would have a cluster more so in the middle of the left-hand side of the page, but I didn't want to cover up all of that vellum. And so instead, I moved it to the top and then added a cluster to the bottom. And what I liked with that larger pink flower is that palm fronds really goes up and rounds out the picture, but also is large enough it fills in a lot of that white space to the right. I don't usually leave a lot of white space on my layouts, and that was a concern for me when I had this idea for this layout, but that flower really helped fill in that space. On the top left, I also added a flare from Scrap and Happy Studio, and I think it's another papery piece. Those are just thinner pieces. It's like a ticket, and it was that green, and it was just another great layering piece. So I did end up adding a title to the bottom cluster, Captured Moments. I liked the colors. It brought in a little of that black. And that's really all I'm going to add to the bottom right cluster. The top right, though, I added a sticker, and it kind of covered up the postcard words. And so I decided to just kind of keep adding to that cluster and cover up all of the phrase postcard. I didn't kind of set out to do that, I guess. It just kind of worked that way. And so there's a little bit left of the P that you could see. So I went ahead and went into the puffy stickers and grabbed out these puffy hearts. And I'm just going to kind of scatter them across I think just the top 2 clusters. I don't think I end up adding any to the bottom right cluster. I tried to and just didn't love the way that looked. And so I could be wrong. I might add 1 to the bottom right cluster, but if I do, that is all I end up adding. I will link this collection down below, and I looked at a cherry on top before I started this voiceover and noticed that a cherry on top actually has the project pad. So if you don't know what that is, it is a great kind of starter piece almost, or if you like a collection but don't want to go overboard, it's great for that as well. You get a 12x12 sticker sheet, usually another alpha 12x12 alpha sheet, you get pattern papers, and you get solid colored paper, which I love. So I will link this collection down below at a cherry on top, and definitely check out the project pads if you haven't bought one already in another collection. I think they are great. But I hope you guys enjoyed this layout, and we will see you next time. Bye guys.